Well, it's the stuff of legend around this time of year. A lonely, defenseless widow stumbles into a vampire in the middle of the night, and his hunger for blood awakens. What happens next is rather surprising. The vampire's humanity is also drawn up along with his hunger from the depths as he begins to spend time with the woman in her apartment. This is the setting for Afterlight, an original musical created by Duncan and Sharon Bajer, which first enchanted Winnipeg audiences a couple of years ago. Now, the show gets a new stage treatment alongside Rainbow Stage in association with The Keep Theatre and opens later on this week. Sharon Bajer and Duncan join me in the Classic 107 studios to tell us more. It's too bad it's the morning, you guys, because then I would say good evening.
Well, we could say good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
There we go. Even coming from the character who isn't the vampire. That's wonderful.
Right.
That's a wonderful accent. Sharon, maybe you can take us back a couple of years. How did this project first initiate? What were the initial creative impulses that led to a vampire musical?
Well, I will take you further than a couple of years ago. I'll take you way back to 2019. Duncan and I worked on a musical Strike. And when that was over, we were kind of sad because it was over. So we started hanging out. And Duncan played me some songs, and he played me a song about a depressed vampire who was tired of living forever. And that was kind of the germ of this project. And we thought, oh, there's so much in that. That's such an interesting, such an interesting idea. And then we started jamming out ideas, and we thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting if the vampire's love interest was an old woman at the end of her life who wasn't ready to go yet.
Sure. What fascinated you about that kind of a relationship versus maybe a more stereotypical sort of young woman, damsel in distress type who is just so beautiful that in a classic Twilight fashion, perhaps, that would maybe not be the same sort of dynamic as what we see here?
I think I'm always looking for stories that have a little bit of a bent edge to them and trying to find the way into this vampire story that hasn't been told before. As far as I know, this is a pretty original idea. And the germ of the idea really set a great groundwork for the next 4 years when we developed the project, because there was so much about this woman being old and on many different levels. The fact that the vampire can never physically get old means that aging, wrinkles, white hair, death is attractive.
Yeah. The grass is always greener, isn't it?
Totally.
So in the original ideas for the music here, Duncan, what is it when you're first writing those songs back in 2019? Where does that sort of idea come from then for you, even at its original form? To leave the musical aside for a second, but that one song just to get going.
Yeah, in its original form, it was kind of one of these things of you deal with things in your own life, and as songwriters do, you kind of channel them into music, and sometimes you'll get something like a broken heart, and you go, oh man, it's too much for me to even write a song about it. Maybe I'll make a character who's had his heart broken, then I can write a song for him. And then it's like another step removed. And so that was, you do that, and then you go, that's actually kind of a cool idea. I might like to jam on that for a little bit. And so that was kind of how it started. Moving forward, the ideas shifted, and some of the lyrical content, and certainly a lot of the musical content, has stayed the same. And I created quite early on a lot of the motifs that are used throughout multiple songs in the shows to kind of tie it all together in musical theater form.
Well, and very much also in the vein of if we're thinking about the operatic traditions as well, we have these motifs that help to give a huge color to the characters, the emotions that they feel. These songs, as you mentioned, they remain quite this. A lot of this has remained the same since this project has begun. But maybe what will audiences see in a different sort of partnership that this production we'll see now in with Rainbow Stage and the Keep Theatre.
Well, last time, so Rainbow Stage is our presenting partner.
Yeah.
So they were on it with us last time as well.
Okay, great.
Which means that the Keep Theatre produces the show. So the Keep Theatre is Sharon and I.
Yeah.
And Rainbow comes on, and they give us the generous support of like box office and volunteers and.
Just their outreach is so much better. We're a small company, know, that doesn't have the reach that Rainbow has.
And Rainbow has like an established name, which they can go, hey, this is a show that is in our season, and people look at that and go, I know that company, and they do good things. So if they believe in it, then I think I might go and see that.
Nice to get the Rainbow stamp of approval.
Absolutely.
And that sort of pedigree of producing musical theater in this community. As this show has been developing over the last number of years, Sharon, and as it's been shared, what does that make you think about when it comes to the musical theater community here in Winnipeg and its ability to not only have an atmosphere and an environment that is ripe for creating projects like this, but is also able to see them all the way towards the production stage with dedication of resources and support and inspiration that maybe you wouldn't get in another creative environment?
Well, there's something about Winnipeg that creates incredible musicians and and dancers and singers and musical theater people and writers. I think part of it is our climate. There's a lot of people that start learning instruments when they're at a young age, and we're a bit isolated, and you have lots of time to practice. So there's a lot of people right now developing musicals all over the world, really.
Yeah.
It's a form that has really been very popular, throughout history, but definitely more recently in the last 20 years or so. One of the drawbacks of being in Winnipeg, I would say, would be we do write these. We spend hours and years making these musicals, but we're kind of isolated. So other people who may be able to like pick them up or get them out into the world, they don't come here and they aren't here. So when we did the show 2 years ago, we were happy with it, but musicals also can only develop if you do them a few times, right? Because you learn so much from doing it the first time that we really wanted another chance, another shot at it, just to expose it to more people, to have a chance to revisit some of the story and improve it. So we're just doing it ourselves. One day we'd love somebody to come and see it who could take it out into the world.
Sure. And in the meantime, to be able to perform it again and to try and give it that extra life, that extra lived in sort of a quality. As you head into another run of this show, Duncan, what are some things that you're looking at any aspect of the show that maybe you're like, if that was fleshed out a little bit more, if there's a way to develop this angle of the production, then we're able to maybe to punch that out of the perimeter highway and towards the rest of Canada and beyond.
It's funny, from the last production to this production, I feel like we've done a lot of that. Like Sharon was saying about how like larger theater festivals and big theaters and on Broadway, you'll have like preview performances.
Yeah.
And so you'll have like a month of previews, 2 months of previews where people come in and you're still workshopping the show. So you do the show, and then in the daytimes people are rewriting and re-rehearsing new parts. And so that was kind of, our first run of the show 2 years ago. We took so much of that and I've just implemented all of that into this new script. And I mean, there's always stuff that, we kind of went, here's an idea. We just didn't have time to implement it this time. But there's,
Yeah, I feel like we could do another production in another couple years, and we've already learned so much.
If money was not an issue, then everything would be flying all the time.
Right.
The big musicals that you see, that you've heard of, the big Broadway musicals, they always have a full other run in another development theater before they hit Broadway. Very often they've had a few like many years of development. So,
Sure. Well, if you think about even the more recent Broadway success stories, like a Hadestown or something like that,
Yeah.
developed in Edmonton at the Citadel Theatre, and then it comes to be this worldwide phenomenon.
Yeah, or
So-
come from away.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe then, as you embark on this new run, what's your biggest hope for what people will see out of Afterlight that maybe they wouldn't have seen, Sharon, in 2023?
I think that we've really spent a lot of time cutting unnecessary things. Like we had a wonderful archival of the show from 2 years ago, so it was really good to go through it and kind of go,
Sure.
do we need this? Do we need that? Somebody told me, you want to leave them wanting more. Nobody ever said, oh, that play was too short.
You're right.
Yeah, nobody gets points for a long musical. And you know what? It's also just, it's a testament to the day, right? Like
Sure.
we don't have, the attention spans are getting ever shorter in time. And so, I mean, it's great to have give people something to sit down with and watch and actually experience it like it's a show or a movie or something like that of that length. But I mean, to say, come and see my 5-hour play, like nobody's going to want to do that, right? So as tight as we can make it and as punchy as we can have all of these moments.
Right. Really
Yeah.
interesting to explore like the economics, not even just on a financial level, but to actually explore the economy of performance, how to tell the story as succinctly as possible, and to be able to convey that message, that story in a way that audiences are looking forward to digesting.
Yeah, while still, making sure that we leave enough time for the characters to genuinely get to know each other.
Right.
Because that's what it is. It's about this, 500-year-old vampire and 85-year-old woman who find that they have commonalities. And so you want that relationship. We can't, it's unrealistic for the relationship to just already be there. You need to leave it time to grow, but not too much time.
Right.
It's a very fine line.
Yeah.
There's with exploring this idea of making something more succinct, more to tighten up those loose screws as you continue to develop Afterlight. I would imagine also that comes with some feelings of, aw, do we really have to cut that? That was
does it
so
ever.
good.
Yeah,
What is that
yeah.
like to walk that line between making this the most well-honed thing it can be versus constantly having to, the old expression, kill your darlings?
I was just going to say that is actually, it's a very common expression, right? And it's a thing that every writer has to do. And it sucks. It's dreadful. But, it's especially hard when you go, oh, I know we have to lose this, but I love it.
Yeah.
But I love it. And especially when it's things that have been there from the beginning. It's affected the script. It's also affected the music of going, sometimes it's like, do we need this verse? This verse says the same thing, essentially, in fancier language as verse 1. So do we need it? Or does this thing have to move around? Or it's hard to see it go, but we actually recorded a cast album.
Yes.
And so we go, everything that we had will still be there.
Yes.
It's always still preserved there,
Yeah. You got the 2023 version, which I
Exactly.
was just about to say is available on most streaming services.
Yeah.
So with that documentation in mind and out into the world for people to hear then, Sharon, what sorts of, is there then an opportunity as you are making those edits to make big, riskier sorts of choices when it comes to honing things in as you prepare to present Afterlight again in the city of Winnipeg?
Yeah. Well, I think when you first premiere a project, any new play, you hold on to it tighter because you haven't allowed it to be free, And I think that every time I've had the opportunity to revisit anything I've written, if it's a year later or 2 years later, it's much easier to look at it objectively. So in that way, I think we've really matured as a writing team in the last 2 years just by leaving it and then returning to it and going, do we really need this? No. Can we tighten this? Yes. And I think that's just a matter of time. That's these shows have to be left for a little while too.
Sure.
Just a matter of time.
And now it's been left for a little bit, and now only a matter of time before the two of you hit the stage for Afterlight, October the 24th through November 2nd at the Centre Culturel Franco-Manitoba. We'll have more information and a link to get your tickets up at our website, classic107.com, and the Classic 107 app. Sharon Bajer and Duncan Cox, this has been a real delight getting to hear about not just the show, but the process of making the show, and all the best for the run.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us, Nolan.
Yeah.